Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today and great to have you with me. Today we are looking at whether this person is cheating on you. Now we'll break the reading down by looking to see who this person is. What sort of relationship is going on between the both of you? Now, is this person cheating on you? That's the big question. We'll certainly answer that, but we'll also look at the dynamics between the two of you, the situation that prevails. How does this person think and feel about you? How do you think and feel about them? What's been going on between the both of you? We'll look at the past and the present, and we'll look at the future outcomes in terms of where this is all going, and we'll certainly answer the big question as to whether they're cheating on you. Before we get started, I would like to just remind you that I have a Patreon subscription that offers extra content, early releases, audio recordings. So if you'd like to go down into the description and have a look at that, you're welcome to. Before we get started on the reading though, if you want to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Before you, on the screen, we have 3 different symbols to choose from. And the idea is to choose a symbol that comes through for you clearly. Once you've made that choice, that will be your reading. It's perfectly fine to choose more than one symbol if it comes through strongly. And remember, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. If we have symbol 1, 2, and 3, taking a moment to be with the symbols, drawing in a nice deep breath. And as you release the breath, listening to your intuition, your inner voice, and the energy of the symbols. Which of these comes through for you the strongest? Is it symbol 1, 2, or 3? Down below, there are 3 different timestamps representing each of these symbols. If you'd like to go to the one that you've chosen, I will see you in a moment. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 1. This is your reading. Now today we are going to break the reading up into 3 different aspects. We'll be looking at the past, the present, and the future, and obviously the outcomes. Now I'm going to just start up here with the Wheel of Fortune and the 7 of Cups. I felt a good place to start in the past with this other person who just doesn't seem to really know what it is that they want. They can't make their mind up about any one particular thing in terms of the connection with you. I feel like everything's always spinning on a dime, you know. They're looking constructively maybe one moment, and then everything's a mess the next. It just feels like it's all over the shop. I feel like this is a very high-risk relationship here with the Wheel of Fortune. It doesn't feel like there's any certainty from one moment to the next. I don't feel like you're able to plan with this person in a way that engages with a true vision as to where this is all going. I don't feel like this person can see the wood for the trees when it comes to the connection that they have with you. There's always this risk that they're going to leave, that this isn't really what it is that they want. I feel like this is somebody who has had a number of different relationships consecutively. Maybe in the lead up to meeting you. Historically, I feel like this person has just kind of been very codependent on other people in a way where they've really never had time out for themselves and landed on their own 2 feet in a way that solidly figures out what they want for themselves first. I feel like they've lived their life through many different relationships. That could be intimate relationships, but I feel like a dependency here. That could also be a dependency on parents, siblings, general family, friends. I feel like this person is leaning very hard into other people in a way that makes things very complicated. I wondered whether this is also somebody, for many of you, where they're in contact with people that they have had a past with, past relationships with other people, old flames. In some ways, this person feels fairly popular. I feel like they've got a lot of people around them, but I don't feel like it's for the right reasons. I feel like this is a very complicated person with a complicated past who is very dependent and clinging on other people in a way that draws them into their world. I don't feel like this person has been clear as to what their intentions are with you. I feel like they've really been messing you about here in the past in a way that just doesn't really set down any ground rules, doesn't set down a framework as to where things are at in terms of a confident underpinning, and certainly no vision as to where things are going for the future. I feel like this is a very emotionally complex person who is quite sensitive, very reactive, I think takes things to heart, can be very difficult to work with because they have a tendency maybe to take things the wrong way, that everybody is against them, or that something that you've said has kind of just not sat right with them, even though that wasn't your intention or what it was that you really meant. And I don't feel like this person is clear. This is somebody who does hide things. Okay, so I can I can understand where you're coming from to think maybe, is this person cheating on me? This is a person who holds a lot in, and they don't actually share how it is that they really feel or what is it they really mean under all of that. I kind of feel there are two faces. There's the face that outwardly presents, and then there's the face that is more inwardly presenting. As a consequence of that, I don't feel like you ever get to the bottom of what the problems are, because this person is never really telling you the truth about how they really think, how they really feel, what they really mean. It's a very needy energy. I have to be honest with you. I feel that the full world revolves around this person here with the Wheel of Fortune. It's all about their needs. It's all about their wants. It's all about what they're going through. It's all about what you did to them. Bottom line here for me is that this person feels that they are very mixed up and they're very clear about what they want with you. Okay. Down here with the Hangman and the Five of Cups, and I feel it was a good place to start here in the past with yourself. I feel like you've really held on here in a way where you've made an enormous amount of sacrifice for this person. I get love coming through here with the five of Cups. I feel like you really love this person. I feel that you've been really just inwardly focused in a way where it's been all about disappointment and sorrow, in a way where you just, you can't seem to parallel or co-align in a way that matches how you feel. Like, this is unrequited love for me. I feel like this person is unavailable, that they're not present, that how you feel about them doesn't match the experience that you want to have with them. I think you've definitely been worried about this point as to whether there's some sort of infidelity, because I get a sense here that you're picking up that this person's not being straight with you, that they're hiding things, questioning, like, is this person really cheating on me? But at the same time, I feel like you're getting dragged along on this emotional roller coaster with this person. Things are very up and down here. They're all over the place. 1 minute it's here, next minute it's over there. Then you're doing a 360, then you're back to where you started again. And I kind of feel that this has been very emotionally exhausting for you in a way where you've been very focused on but also at the same time, it's all over the shop for you, because I think your feelings are very clear about what you want with this person. I get a lot of dwelling about the situation and how bad it is. But at the same time, I get that you're holding on for this person. I think that's the strongest thing here with the Hangman is like I'm hanging on. Maybe I don't want to make the sacrifice, or the ultimate sacrifice of having to give up on this person. So there's a lot of frustration about what you can't do because your hands are tied here in a way where you have no control. Fate here with the Wheel of Fortune, fate is in the hands of this other person in terms of the relationship. But I don't feel that you're giving up either. I feel like you're sort of thinking of new and different ways to succeed in the relationship because you're so emotionally invested in this person. I think the one thing that's really clear to me here by about this point with the Hangman and the Five of Cups is that I don't really think that you've ever considered by this point whether it's actually fair on yourself. So this is also about self-sacrifice, about what you're giving to this person to make a success of things, to pander to their needs, or to give them what it is that you think that they want and need, to make a success out of what you want to experience as a mutual loving couple. Okay. More to the present up here with Death and the Seven of Wands. And I felt with this person here and now, I feel like they're in the process of going through what feels like a very brutal breakup with you. It feels slow and drawn out in a way that's never ending. They don't want to be with you, but I think at the same time they also don't want to let go. It's very push and pull. Death here, very slow, difficult, painful transition in terms of moving out of this situation, paired with the Seven of Wands. I feel like this person is really sort of pushing to get out of the relationship, but at the same time it's sort of 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and they're not doing this concisely, cleanly, sharply. It feels drawn out, messy. It's more of the same in many ways. I feel like this is a messy breakup that's basically on their terms, on their conditions, in a way where they don't seem to really understand how this is really affecting you. This person is incredibly self-absorbed and emotionally all over the place, inconsistent, unreliable. There's a lack of presence here for me in a way that is alarming. There's lots of red flags coming up. I feel maybe this is a situation here also where this person's covering their tracks. They don't want you to know what's going on in terms of breaking up and where they're at and what they're doing and how they're shaping their world, or maybe even their reasons for really doing it in the first place. Because I get a lot of defensive energy coming here through with the Seven of Wands. You know, I think this person is pushing back on you. Doesn't want you to be involved in the experience of them kind of moving on. I feel at times they can be really aggressive, pushing you around psychologically. And death kind of fuels this in a way where it feels very brutal. Like it's sort of like it's all out. Like it's sort of like maybe this has just become really ugly. You know, I don't feel. I don't feel love and compassion and tenderness and sensitivity. And when I look at the person that you are down here with the Hangman, and even here with Temperance and the Eight of Wands, I get an incredibly sensitive person who's very considerate of other people, who is emotionally aware and evolved in a way that wants to have a connected and consistent relationship with somebody. I think ultimately here with Death and the Seven of Wands, I feel like this person's covering their tracks by this point. You know, like I do feel that they don't want you to know what's going on. I can see why this is sort of, like pricking up your ears in a way that alerts you to the idea that maybe they could be cheating on you. The behavior is all over the place, but the aggression, the defensiveness, and the pushing away and the covering up of their tracks is really starting to mount evidentially, like in a way that kind of, like certainly points in that particular direction. I'll come down here to Temperance and the Eight of Wands. I felt like it's a good place to have a look at where you're at right now. I feel that there's a lot of hope here still in the present. Hope maybe that they'll have a change of heart. I feel like you're still hanging on here and still very much in love with this person, waiting to hear from them about what is it they really want from a more heartfelt level. Maybe you can see that this person is just going through the motions. You can see historically that they've never been really clear about things, but you're hoping that maybe they'll come back to a point where they realize that there's this really strong connection between the two of you here with Temperance. Eight of Wands is definitely a card of communication, but it's sort of things happening quickly and moving at fast pace. I think maybe you're trying to pull things back. Maybe you're trying to slow down them. Maybe you're trying to slow down the process of breaking up in the hope that they'll have a change of heart. But it's also about listening to news, listening to information that's coming through. And I wonder whether you're hearing things from other people that may point to the idea that this person could be cheating on you. Going over that information in a way where you're trying to sort of make sense of it. I think also here, there's a lot in these two cards, because I feel like deep down, I think that you have this sense that they will be back, that they'll change their tune, that things will become more positive, that maybe this is what they're saying now, but later, they'll come back. It's very moment by moment. I don't feel like anything is sure at this point, but I think you're trying to sort of remain really positive overall. I think that's the experience I feel like I'm tuning into here in a way that says, I don't want to give up. I have a lot of hope. I still really love this person. We have an amazing connection here. I might be hearing rumors about what this person is up to, but I don't necessarily have anything to be able to qualify that as a given. And my sense here is that you're hoping that this person will swing in the other direction and kind of fall back into the lap of the relationship in a way where they see that this is actually fueled with enormous amount of potential. I think also here, I just wanted to say I don't feel that this person is cheating on you. I don't see it. I don't see another person here. I don't see this person doing anything behind your back in a mistrustful, untowards way. I can see that this person is incredibly dependent on other people, very clingy. I feel that they're all over lots of different types of relationships in a way that gives them an enormous amount of support and security, that mitigates the risk that they feel that they actually experience in their life. This is a very unclear, uncertain person who's very lost in their life. Yeah. It feels a little desperate, and here with death and the Seven of Wands, I just kind of feel like this person is really at the precipice for a potential change where they really do want to move on and gain independence and do something with their life in a way that is more about standing on their own 2 feet. So let's have a look and see where this is actually going to go. So if we come over here to Strength and the Nine of Wands, the outcome here for me is that this person will come back to you looking for another opportunity to reignite the relationship. And I don't feel that that will actually be too far in the distance. I feel that's possibly a situation where this person doesn't even make a full break from you. I feel that things have settled down a lot by this point. Maybe in about 4 to 6 weeks' time, I feel this person seems to be a lot more controlled, a lot less defensive in terms of their energy. Here with Strength, they want to heal the relationship. It's a very strong healing card, and a card for opportunity. But it's they're really drawing down that kind of overly passionate energy that is really defensive. And they're tired. I feel like this person needs healing. Maybe they're looking for healing by coming back to the relationship, looking for you to soothe them, looking to feel safe, to feel secure, feeling a little bit beat up about life. My sense was it's almost like they've got their tail between their legs here. It feels like a laboured return. And it also feels like a return that's done under duress. I don't feel that this person is coming back refreshed, clear, and self-aware in a way that says, okay, I've seen my ways here. I figured myself out, and I can see what it is that I've actually been doing to you. And that I need to make amends for that and show you. I don't see that here. What I see is an exhausted, worn out person who wants to fight for the relationship. So there is resolve there to say, look, I really do want this, but why do they want that relationship? I feel like the passion has sparked up again here in terms of how does they really feel for you, but I don't feel like anything has changed. So they're exercising a much more civilized approach, standing up for the relationship, maybe even for the first time for some of you. But it still feels like hard work. It doesn't feel like it's natural, It feels laboured. It still feels at a high degree of intensity. And maybe that they're covering that up. They're pushing down how they really feel. Because they need some safe space. They need sanctuary, right? So I get a person who is still very unsure in terms of the outcome. Yeah, over to here or down to here with the Moon and the Two of Swords. I feel like your instincts will react in a very clear and concise way. I feel like you will have this very strong physical reaction to this situation in a way where your gut instinct says, "Don't go there. This is the end of the road." I think that you're going to see the blocks and the obstacles ahead of time. It's like, hang on a second, I've been here before. It's almost like this is a moment in time that just triggers some revelation for you in a way that takes you out of this experience and actually allows you to kind of reflect in a much more holistic way. It's like you all the pieces are starting to fall into place, and within a moment, you can see that this has been so painful, and that for the first time, you really need to look after yourself. And I feel like you'll refuse to indulge this person. It's like, hang on a second. I clock it. I see what you're doing here. You're using me, all right? It all seems so obvious now, whereas before it didn't. And I think this is a kind of a very, again, a very sort of spiritual, but very very holistic experience where it just, something just takes hold of you physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. It just all sharpens into focus, and it's a big no. I feel that you'll relive the past in your mind in a way that it just kind of flashes past you, and it's like, no, I can't do this again. I need to set boundaries against this person in a way that says, I'm not going to go there, but also I need to set boundaries down about what I want for my life. I feel like that you'll accept the reality and deal with this situation in a way where you won't let them in. Okay, so for my Patreon followers, if you would like to just pause for a moment, I will be with you in a second. For everybody else, if you would like to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is I do, and how you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much, and bye. Hi everyone, welcome to card 2. This is your reading, and we are looking at whether this person is cheating on you today. So before we get started, just going to let you know that we're going to start here in the past, and then we'll move into the present and go into the future. I'm going to start up here with Death and the Queen of Wands. A good place to start with the other person in the past. Just a really strong sense that this person's been low level, low key, giving up on the relationship over a really long period of time. I just feel like they've stopped putting anything into what's going on between the two of you in a way that doesn't really make much of an effort. They've pulled back, but they haven't been decisive about what they're doing. It's not that they don't want to be with you all of a sudden. It's just pulling back and not putting so much in, and not really saying what they want. Their intentions aren't clear. I feel like this person's been very distracted by other things. That they're not in the room with you when they're present with you. Their mind is elsewhere if they are with you. When you're out on the street or out and about, I feel like this person is looking around, looking at other things. They're not focusing in on you. Maybe this person's even looking at other people, a bit of a rubberneck, checking other people out who they may fancy, maybe scrolling on social media and focusing in on pictures, stories of things that attract them. It just doesn't feel like this person is intent on you in a way that is making you feel like you're the center of attention. I kind of feel like this person has reached a bit of a responsibility. Reached a bit of a ceiling, a limit in terms of responsibility as well. I don't feel like they're taking things on within the relationship in the past in a way that does their fair share or is responsible and adult to look at certain issues that could be undermining what you actually have with them in a way that does something about it. Yeah, they just don't seem to care or be bothered about what's going on, about the direction of the relationship, but they're also not saying anything about it. I feel like it's just it's like quiet quitting on a job. It's like giving up, but not really giving up, if you know what I mean. Like you're there, you're there in body, but you're not there in spirit. I don't feel like this person has wanted to face any of the responsibility or of what was required to make this a success. And I don't feel like they've ever really been happy fully with what they've had with you, and that they haven't really known how good that they've got it. I just don't get care coming through in a loving, supportive way. I get somebody who is distant, who is slow or unresponsive to the important aspects of what are going on in your relationship, who is not making you the center of attention, who is distracted, looking elsewhere. It doesn't feel like their heart is in it, but they're not saying that they don't want it, but at the same time, their actions are speaking a very different story that is taking it in a very slow car crash kind of way into ending this relationship. I kind of feel here with death. This is a relationship that has either come to the end or is in the process of coming to the end. I feel like this person's given up. And if I come down here, the Empress and the Seven of Wands, and I feel that this is your response to the situation in a way where you've had quite the opposite approach. You've been in there fighting to make it work and refusing to give up. I mean, like, you've put an enormous amount of energy into trying to uphold the relationship. I think there's been an active determination here, and the Empress is such a nurturing card. I feel like you've really just wanted to nurture what you have with this person and to kind of nest and get things to grow and to push things over the line in a way where you've put a lot of effort in here. I feel like you've cared so much. And in many ways, it's almost like, from a heartfelt point of view, it's like you're saying somebody has to care here. Like we've invested into each other. We have something going on. And I feel like there's been a lot at stake here in terms of what there is to lose. It's about what you've invested, it's about what you have. This is a very strong card for, the domestic situation in somebody's life. I kind of feel like maybe you have a home together, you have security get together, you have a life that is enmeshed together. For some of you, this could also mean children or pets or just things that have tied you together in a way that anchored this into a home. Like, this is not just a kind of simple you and me thing. I feel like there's a life that's been built here, and you've been hot on this person's tail to kind of really make sure that you push them to try and get them to face what's going on here. I feel like you've been on their tail and you've been kind of following their every step as well. From a sort of cheating point of view, feeling that maybe you're worrying by this point as to what is they're actually distracted about. Why? Maybe you've clocked that they're looking at other people. They're distracted by the idea of having somebody else in their life, or that they may not want you, and that triggers you to think that they could be giving up on you for somebody else, right? And I just feel here that with these two cards, you've really kept on top of what they're up to and where they're going and what they're doing in a way that is sort of hot on their tail to kind of make sure that you're looking out to, because for me, this is a primal instinct that's kicked in here with the Empress. I feel like it's, you're saying here with the Seven of Wands, I've got to fight my corner here. If there's somebody else out there, if there's a threat coming through, I need to fight my corner. I'm not going to give up on this. So you're on high alert, right? You're protecting what is yours, and you're at the center of this domestic world in a way where you're kind of saying, the responsibility is on my shoulders to make a success of this. And I'm not going to let you just walk away and give up on me or us or the situation. There's a lot at stake here, and I feel that this person's been very, very difficult to manage, that they're not actually stepping up and doing their fair share in terms of maintaining a connection with you. And there are some very questionable behavior in terms of what they've actually been like, as to why you would be asking the question as to whether they're cheating on you. So if we come up here to the Moon and the Five of Cups into the present, and I felt that this person at this point in time was in a real state of grief. There's a lot of sorrow here. I feel like this person is immersed very deeply into a state of feeling very sorry for themselves, but I kind of feel like there's a lot of darkness hovering over this person in a way that says to me that they're going through some very difficult process. They're immersed in their emotional feelings. I feel this person seems to be almost irreconcilable. I did wonder whether this was about the death of somebody, the loss of somebody close to them. It could be also about the loss of this situation, about the recognition that this is actually over, that that things have moved on in a way where it's the death of the life that they knew. And I feel that this person is in a very vulnerable position, and that they're looking for emotional comfort in that situation. Yeah. I had a sense here that there were people around this person comforting them. Yeah. That they were giving this person the emotional support that they needed, and that this person needed that emotional support. I felt that this person was showing a side of themselves that they'd never shown to, certainly to you, but maybe to themselves before. It feels vulnerable. It feels very weak. It feels as though they're kind of it's almost as though they're getting to the heart of something here in a way that recognizes maybe what the problem is, as to what's happened with you and why this person has been ignoring you. I feel this person is letting down the defenses here and letting somebody in. But I got to be honest with you, I don't feel that that's you, because if I look down here at the High Priestess and the Nine of Wands, I don't feel that you're seeing this person on that level. Yeah. To me, this suggests that this person is getting this from somewhere else. I feel that this was certainly about the grief of leaving you on one level. I feel like that's actually very deep, but I don't feel that it's just that. I feel that this person has loss and sorrow and a very heavy heart that relates holistically to what's going on in their life, but it could also relate to somebody or something that they've lost. It's certainly about their vulnerability and feeling very weak. I don't get a sense that this person enjoys this or that they like this, but they definitely want to be nurtured. And I do feel emotional flow happening here in a way where this person's cup is getting filled. For me, this person is definitely cheating on I guess an emotional level. I feel intimacy on that level, that this person is definitely with somebody else in a way that connects to them in a way that's never been experienced with you and this person, if that makes sense. Yeah. I want to come down here to the High Priestess and the Nine of Wands. I feel like here, you're also saying in this current position, there's a lot of uncertainty about what you want for the future or what's even possible for the future. I think most definitely you're questioning whether you've got any fight left to give to this situation. I feel like your energy is being completely drained here. The High Priestess just beckons so much uncertainty because it's unclear as to what's going to happen. Here with the Nine of Wands, like you kind of hit the wall, like it's just really like, if you haven't hit it, you're kind of close to it. I just feel like the energy is exhausted. I mean, you've got a little bit left here, but it's like, what am I doing with it? I don't know what the next steps are. I don't even know if there are any next steps. And if there were, do I have the energy to take them? There's a strong sense of emptiness, a feeling of just, being exhausted and spent and unfulfilled by, there is no reward in this current position for you. I feel like I'm isolated. I feel like I'm alone. I feel like I don't have any control over what's going on. I feel unseen. I feel all of my efforts have been in vain because I'm standing here and I don't see anything that has come from all of my efforts to push to this particular point. And I don't feel that this person is seeing me, and I'm certainly not seeing this person. I would have said maybe for many of you that there is a separation that has happened here, that this person is not living with you, or that if they are, you are not together in a way that is connecting. It's just, you're just ships passing by the night, passing in the night. I think it's the recognition here, and I think this is the sort of probably the strongest feature of these two cards, is it's a feeling of not only being alone, but that this person is not here for you, right? I can't turn to this person to say anything that gets them to see where I'm at, who it is that I am as a person, and how it is that I really feel deep down. I feel like a shadow in the presence of this person. I feel like they're just looking straight through me. They don't care. And I think it's definitely a veil of uncertainty that looms over you, but I think it also leaves you to kind of question what the future is about, and whether there's more of a fight up ahead, and whether this is going to require more energy from you. And I think that that's almost like a bit of a haunting feeling. It's like, okay, maybe I feel that this person has moved on, maybe I feel that they definitely are seeing somebody else. Maybe I can't put my finger on it here with the High Priestess. I can't be sure about it. I don't necessarily have any evidence about that. But I kind of feel like, here with the Nine of Wands, something else is going to happen. I feel like, this isn't over. And I think you'd be right to say that. I'm going to go over here to the Judgment and the Four of Pentacles. And I feel in the outcome here in the future for this particular person, I feel like they'll land on their feet. They'll get back up, dust themselves off, and they'll stand on their own 2 feet independently from you in a way where they do not want to have a connection with you anymore. I feel like this person is going to leave, or they will go through the process of finalizing what that means. Judgment amps things up in a way where it begins to really breathe down your neck and the neck of the situation. I feel like this person is going to take a very aggressive stance that says they want to take everything. Everything is mine. There's a very selfish, self-righteous, greedy, dig my heels in posture here that says, I don't want anything more to do with this relationship, but I need to get serious about what that means in terms of the next steps. Now, I would have said for many of you, some of you might be in a committed relationship, some of you might be in a marriage. There may be kids, animals, assets, investments, home, belongings that need to be addressed in terms of what this means as an outcome. For me, that lands here with Judgment and the Four of Pentacles. I felt this person would act out of selfishness. Their posture is defensive. Then moved into a very self-protected interest that wants to take hold of the situation, wants to be in control of everything, wants to ensure that what's mine is mine, what's yours is mine. I feel that this person would involve other people in that process, and that this was some kind of a shameless act or position that is void of any care or connection to you. I felt that this person would mean business in a way where they're very determined to gain power. What does that mean even? It's definitely power over you, or power over the situation. It's about shoring up my bets in a way where I'm looking after myself. It's a dog-eat-dog world. I need to make sure that I'm okay. I don't want to be vulnerable, because I felt vulnerable back here, and I don't know that I feel comfortable with that. I think there's another element to these two cards that says to me that this person is also wanting to save face, or save their reputation. I feel perhaps if it's found out that they have actually been cheating on you, which is very possible in this situation. I feel, because this to me feels very messy here with the Moon and the Five of Cups. I feel like this is this kind of opening up, this vulnerability, this connecting with other people. It's not something they've done before. I don't know that they have their wits about them. Their guard is down. I feel like, the word is out here. I feel like maybe other people have seen this or heard about it or rumors are happening, and I feel this person is kind of almost recoiling against that, compensating for that in a way where they're wanting to make sure that they kind of secure their position. And to me, that says that has something to do with their reputation. How are you going to respond here with Justice and the Page of Swords? And I felt immediately this catches you in a way where it's very off guard. Maybe you're unprepared for this. It's very stark on how unfair it is. Unjust actions really sort of play on your mind. Here with the Page of Swords, I just felt it kind of catches you off guard, but it also catches your confidence in a way where you don't have any. It's like, I feel really uncertain, and I feel very hesitant and unsure as to how to respond to this. Should I resist? Shouldn't I resist? Lots of questions start to happen, going over things, getting irritated by what they're actually doing, looking into the past and figuring out how unfair this is, putting all the pieces together and realizing, I've been done over. I think it's also about finding your feet and finding your confidence to fight back, because I feel like in many ways, initially, your confidence will crash out. Yeah, it'll get the better of you. I'm not saying that's how it has to be, but I'm just looking at the timeline as to how I see it. There is forewarning here. But I think this is also, what I'm describing here is also a process of finding your confidence. And I feel that you'll look back and build a case made of facts. There'll be holes in what this person is saying. There will be bits and pieces that kind of come to you in a way that builds a really solid case. It's almost like you're kind of turning things around. You're turning the negatives into ammunition. I feel almost like this is a case of not revenge, but just getting your just desserts, right? Of looking after yourself, of standing on your own 2 feet, of doing the fair thing for you. Yeah. I think that you're going to see and recognize a distinct pattern of neglect by this person, and that what you'll do is seek counsel or fight back. Now, that could be one of 2 things. You could be just fighting back with this person in a way where you kind of throw it all at them and argue it out to get what's yours rightfully. And for some of you, it could also be about getting a lawyer or some kind of legal counsel that gives you what you need to do. It gives you what you need in terms of information so that you can actually do the right thing. Yeah. I felt that you would throw a clear case of problems back at this person. Yeah. That would actually put you into a really strong position to fight them. Yeah. This, to me, at the end here is definitely about evening the score in a way that confidently addresses what's going on and which doesn't let this person walk all over you. Yeah. I would say for many of you that it's very important to be prepared for a very much a worst case scenario in terms of this person's behavior and how it is that they may try and end things. For my Patreon subscribers, if you just want to hold on, I'll be with you in a second. For everybody else, if you would like to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you a notification for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is I do, and how you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 3. This is your reading, and today we are looking at whether this person is cheating on you. Now we'll start in the past here, we'll move our way into the present, and then we'll end in the future in terms of outcomes. I'm going to start up here with Strength and the 6 of Swords. A good place to start in the past with this other person. I feel like immediately there's a history here of this person cheating or flirting or coming off of the rails in some ways that really questions their behavior and their commitment. as far as infidelity is concerned here with the Seven of Swords. I feel like this person is steering out of that situation in a way that clearly indicates that there have been problems in the past, maybe predating the relationship that you have with them. Maybe it's a part of the history that you have as being together. I feel like this person's track record has been questionable and patchy. But I do feel here with Strength, which is a strong card for healing and restraint, that this person has definitely addressed that issue. I feel like this has been straightened out in a way where perhaps this person has had some sort of counseling. Perhaps you've helped to steer them and put them on track in a way that makes sense and kind of takes them into clearer waters, into a calmer situation that addresses what's needed to be done in order to constructively move forward. I definitely feel a sense here that healing has kind of taken place and things have moved forwards in a way where, yeah, I would have said, not perfect, but definitely the intention to move forward is clear, and that this person has a high degree of sensitivity and sees the potential in the relationship in a way that they want to move forward with you. I get here Strength, definitely a card of restraint, of keeping things maybe under their hat. I feel that there is a tendency to fly under the radar with this person. Maybe they keep a lot to themselves. Maybe they're very secretive, that they don't find it so comfortable here with the Six of Swords to be out in the open, that there's some feeling of being vulnerable, about being honest and truthful. But it doesn't mean that they can't be. I feel that they are committed. I feel like this person has proven that in a way that shows clear signs of intent and wanting to make things move forward. They want to make it work, and that they'll do the work that is required at a deeper kind of healing level. So you're in a relationship in this part of the reading in a way that clearly indicates to me that this is somebody who has the capacity to be able to self-reflect and address issues in a way that constructively moves forwards. I think that this person is certainly aware of their shortfallings in a way where they're trying to work through the issues, and that a lot of healing has actually been done here in a way where it shows that this person is prepared to work quite hard. Positives definitely outweigh the negatives in this, at this point, and I feel in some ways, I have to say to you, I actually feel that this reflects some kind of a confession, even for many of you, that this person's come out into the open and said, look, I can't keep this to myself anymore. I have to tame the beast within myself. I have to tell you what's going on, and that maybe that they've actually taken the lead to sort of put it on the table and to say, this is a burden to carry, and I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be doing things behind your back. So definitely a history here that says I've either been cheating on you, or I've been thinking about cheating on you, or I have a definite predisposition to cheat on you. And I want to work through that in a way that is honest and calm. And I feel if I come down here to the Sun and the Three of Wands, your response has been, I can work with this. I can, honesty is all I need here. And if you're going to be honest with me, I feel like we can move forward and that we have a future. And there's forgiveness in these two cards. You're responding in a bright, positive, can-do way that almost feels happy and excited to think that there is a future between the two of you. I feel like that forgiveness has been given. I feel that this person has been honest with you, and that you responded in the spirit of that honesty in a way that says, I can see a clear way forward, and that I'm excited about the future, and that I don't want any inhibition or restraint here in a way that says, that you have to keep this to yourself, that this is the way that I want to have a relationship. I get a strong sense here in terms of your timeline that you're a very shoot from the hip, straightforward person who likes it to be out in the open. You don't want any skeletons in the closet. You don't want people hanging around in the shadows. And I feel like you're saying no more inhibitions. It's clear sailing forwards. we've got everything out in the open, and we can work with this. So a very productive outcome that says, I'm willing to work into the future with you. I wondered here whether for some of you that there were kids in the background, or family in the background, or pets in the background, things that kind of tie you together in terms of parental responsibility. For some of you, maybe it's like, okay, we've got this, we can do this. It's not just about us. Let's move forward. Let's keep it positive. And your attitude is definitely been about making it work. Can do. Let's show. I think you've actually shown the way forward in many ways. This person has come to you in the right capacity, in the spirit of wanting a committed relationship, in the spirit of being honest. That there is so much to work with here in a way that says we have an opportunity to see forwards. And I'm going to be honest with you here. I don't necessarily think for everybody that it's a deal breaker if this person was actually cheating. I think for some of you that you could get your heads around that in a way that says, that's not necessarily the issue for me. The issue for me is that you need to be honest with me about your shortfallings, or you need to be honest with me about what your passion is here, what your desire. Strength's all about passion and desire and inner feelings that are kept down. And there's an opportunity for us to kind of work through this. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's keep things constructive. Let's not necessarily fall into stereotypical behavior where it has to be X, Y, and Z in terms of either a monogamous relationship or where there are hard lines that kind of make this a frightening experience. Let's put light on it. Let's put the sunshine on it. Let's kind of bring it into a kind of a revelation where we can just really work through this constructively together in a way that gives us a confident future. So I feel like here, you've definitely turned your back on the past, and that you're showing the way forward and leading by example of sort of reinforcing how this person has come to you and saying, look, let's make it happen. If I come up here though to the moon and the Eight of Wands, and I feel more in the current position that this has all changed. I feel like this person's behavior has gone from being really positive and constructive and working through their issues into something that is much more questionable. I feel like this person is flying under the radar again. I don't feel like they're being honest. I don't feel like they're saying what they mean. Here with the Eight of Wands, it's all around communication. I feel like this person is saying one thing, but maybe they're meaning another. Maybe your instincts here with the moon are pricking up and saying, I'm not convinced that you're telling me the truth. What's really going on? Maybe here also with the Eight of Wands, there's rumors flying around. Maybe you've been told that this person has been up to their old behaviors, or looks like they're up to their old behaviors, or seems to be their old self. Or I feel this is coming in from lots of different angles. I think moreover, the behavioral patterns changed for me in a way where this person's gone from a very positive and opportunistic way to move into the future into something that's much more soupy, questionable, mistrustful. The behavioral pattern has changed very quickly as well. I just kind of feel one minute it was all good and the next minute, it's all questionable in a way where I'm looking at this person and I just don't feel like it sits right. And I don't get what's going on. Something is going on under the surface that you're not telling me. I get a lot of changeability here as well. Maybe a lot of mood swings. One minute they're good and the next minute they're bad. And they seem really preoccupied in terms of an overall, maybe a depressive state. The moon is a really strong card for kind of pulling you down into that soupy, difficult, challenging darkness that it's very, very difficult to put your finger on what is wrong. I don't feel here that this person is being clear with you. Things don't add up. Maybe they're saying something and it's like, hang on a second, your story seems really patchy. I don't trust what you're saying. One minute you were saying this and the next minute maybe you're saying something a little bit different. Or maybe it doesn't add up in terms of my version, or maybe it doesn't add up in terms of what it is that I've heard about what you're up to. I just feel like things are a little bit all over the shop and they're not convincing, and it's leaving me to feel uneasy, and this person is just not being fully truthful. It's reflective of historic stuff is what I feel. I feel like this person is reverting back into concerning behavior that doesn't feel trustful. I feel like they feel very uncertain about the future and of their connection with you in a way that causes them to be very changeable, very depressive, maybe even erratic, right? If I come down here to the Chariot and the Eight of Cups, I feel like your response to this has been pretty damning in many ways. Again, here with the Chariot, I feel like you've just shot straight from the hip, and you've been upfront with this person, and you've had a clear sense of what your boundaries are in a way that says, I'm out. I'm not doing this. I've lost confidence in you, and I need to take control of the situation in a way that puts me in the driving seat because I'm not going along for this ride again. All of the positives and the potentials and the encouragement that you've actually delivered in the past in working with this person to make a success of it, by this point, you're saying, we're heading in different directions and I'm going without you. I think you've kind of clocked that this person isn't somebody that you feel that you can trust, and I think probably it's a bit deeper than that for me. I think here with the Eight of Cups, I think you realise that your heart isn't in it, and that you're better off without this person. And I think you're a very clear-cut, very clear-thinking person who doesn't mess about, and you don't give second chances. And I think you're saying here that I'm done, I don't need to deal with this, that life is easy without you in the picture. And that a clear way forward for me to make a break from you is it's now. I'm going to seize that. I'm going to take control. And I would have said here with the Chariot, which is representative of housing, maybe you've kicked this person out if you were living together, or maybe you've moved out, or maybe you're in the process of saying we need to separate in a way where we're no longer together. And I think most importantly, you're saying, I've got a clear way forward in front of me, and that I don't want my life to be complicated by these issues that are so kind of under the surface in a way that we can't deal with them. I need you to be consistent and straightforward, and you're being erratic and changeable, and I don't trust what you're saying, and you're not giving me something that is fully shaped, and I don't have the time to stick around and figure this out. So it's a very no-nonsense attitude, and I think essentially what you're saying is, I'm not going to indulge you with this. Go figure out your feelings on your own, because at the end of the day, I don't have anything left for you. I don't feel that you're feeling it. I really don't. I feel like you've moved on in this moment, and that's very much in the here and now. So this person is kind of flapping in the wind and in a very different head and experience space where they seem to have come off of track again in a way that's lost. And the question is, are they cheating on you? And I would say no, they're not. I don't feel that they are cheating on you. But I feel like this person has lost sight of the beacon of light in terms of where things were coming back here to the sun, which is the beacon of light. The beacon of light that you both underpinned in terms of the way forward. They've lost sight of that. The moon is contrary to that. They're in the dark side again. They're back into that feeling of not really knowing what it is they want. And I think that that's happened very quickly. And I think it's thrown them in a way where they can't figure out why this has happened, or what way is up, or which way they should go. It just feels to me it's all very changeable and unclear. I don't know what it is that I really want. And I think that you're right to call it in a way that says, you're not on board, you're not here with me, you're not by my side, you're not connecting at a heartfelt level that puts us first in terms of being a priority. So I feel I feel like things have taken a turn. They've changed direction here with the Chariot. You've gone in separate directions. And you've taken control of the situation because you don't want to be a victim here. And I feel like in many ways, this person is the victim. The victim of themselves, the victim of their own undoing, because I don't think that they're actually being honest with you about where they're at. And I think there is a history of that, obviously, if you look back into the past. They have a tendency to push it down underneath the surface in a way where things become very unsaid. Things are done behind your back or behind the backs of others in a way where this person finds it hard to be honest, hard to be truthful, hard to be upfront. They struggle with it. And if you come over here to Temperance and the Page of Swords, I feel the outcome of this situation is one where this person is going to try and hold on to you. The Page of Swords definitely questioning everything. I'm feeling that here with Temperance, where we have a spiritual connection, where we are really joint here. And I think that is true. I think that there is a very deep connection between the two of you. And I feel that this person will make it difficult and question you as to why you've chosen to go down this pathway. And they'll want to stay together. But at the same time, the Page of Swords is a card of doubt. They're not fully convinced that staying together is the right thing either. They're in and they're out, which is the theme of their timeline, which is the theme of who it is that they are with you. And I feel that this person will fail to give you a convincing argument, a convincing reason to stay together. And in many ways, I think they'll dig their own grave. Excuse me. The more they try to reason with you, the more they try to kind of thrash it out, the more they try to iron out the issues, I think the more questions that this will actually raise than it will answer. I don't think that they'll have all the answers for you to give you a fully convincing understanding of who it is that they are really as a person in the relationship that they say that they want to have with you. And I think that they'll realize that they've actually made a mess of this and that it's on them. And I get a feeling here that there is perpetual suffering. This person's just going over it and dwelling on it and trying to figure it out and wanting answers but not really having them. And I feel like they'll get really caught up with it. And it'll be very much a case of what this could have been, but it's not. Yeah? Unrequited love. Because I feel that they'll still really love you, and I feel like you'll have given up on them in a way where you don't feel it for them anymore. I think this person will acknowledge by this point that they have cheated on you in the past. And I don't mean recently, I mean coming back into your deeper history, which you already knew. I think they'll also confess that they've thought about doing it more recently. But they didn't action it. I don't see this person fully actioning their thoughts. It's something that dogs them, that gnaws away in the back of their mind. It's something that they will admit, and they'll confess to being the problem. But I don't feel that they've literally sort of cheated on you in the truest sense of the word. I think that they've thought about it. Their predisposition to want to do it is still there. The desire for it is still there. And I don't feel that that's the problem necessarily. I feel like the problem for me is that they can't be honest about that at any given time in a way that keeps it in the line. I think coming down here to the Fool and the Four of Pentacles, I feel your response is very much, I don't care. I've moved on, and this is your problem. I think that you'll just say, look, I need to think about myself. I'm listening to what you're saying, but I just don't have time for it. And the Fool is a new beginning where you just let everything go and you're in the moment and you're on your own. And that's reinforced by the Four of Pentacles. Like, I've fallen on my feet. I found my feet. I'm feeling really good about myself. I can let all of this go. I don't feel complicated. I don't feel like this is hovering over my head in a way that overshadows and kind of gnaws away at my confidence. I feel great about who it is that I am. I don't have any regrets, is what this is saying to me. I'm moving on. It also says I'm making a success of my world in every sense of the word. You know, I'm landing on my 2 feet in not in just in terms of being alone, but also in practical ways here with the Four of Pentacles. Like, you know, maybe this is about new housing or kind of finding security within your financial situation, or putting down roots in terms of, you know, establishing a new life, but it's really strong in terms of independence and not needing anybody else and being me unconditionally. Like, I don't care what other people think. I'm just gonna do me, and so I do feel like this is quite liberating. I have freedom to be myself. I can achieve what it is that I want. I'm uninhibited by the influences of other people's baggage, essentially. There's no inhibition here in these two cards in a way that says that life needs to be labored. That there are rewards here for the taking, and that I'm going to find them. And in many ways, I feel like you have found them. And I would have said over the next 4 to 6 years, a really strong, solid future for you in a way where I feel like you find independence, and that you don't necessarily need, I wouldn't say this is for everybody. I think for a lot of you, that you don't need a relationship to define you. That you're getting what you want out of life, that you're uninhibited, and that you have found freedom to be yourself. For my Patreon subscribers, if you would like just to pause for a moment, I'll be with you in a second. For everybody else, I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. If you are interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care.